Blohm, working in Nicaragua on a dairy quality improvement project for USAID. This is coming to the end of my second week. Been very educational for me. Gathered an awful lot of information, a lot of ideas that can be implemented at extremely low cost. Some little bit of change in policy or procedure to reduce bacteria count in milk, which is the basic thing. The milk is used for milk, ice cream, cheese. Cheese primarily ends up an exported product, which helps bring money back to Nicaragua. So that's my main purpose. Hope I did some help. One other thing I did is to install a biodigester. We put it in one farm, learned an awful lot about things that we've got to do differently next time. But it'll take common ore and produce methane gas for cooking, because all cooking is done with wood fire. So it's a major help for a farm family for cooking, and it is free, because you have to look at there isn't much money. They aren't going to spend money on something that we would think go out and buy propane gas. You have a great idea, but the average farm can't afford that.
So Bob, future volunteers, what do you think would be good for a future volunteer to work on? What do you think the biggest need is?
Well, in the area I've been working in, one area I'm seeing is that we have something called milk stone, which is a buildup in a container due to inadequate or questionable cleaning. It is something you can't just scrub out with soap and water. In the U.S. we tend to treat it with acid or an acid wash, which you can do in the stainless steel, but I'm not sure what you can do with aluminum. Here almost all containers are aluminum or plastic. Plastic is difficult to clean because plastic is not a smooth surface, it's a somewhat rough surface. That's not going to change. Stainless steel is too expensive, so there's no point in even discussing it. The question then is, how can we do a better job of cleaning the material we have? Temperature control, the major issue.
Okay.
Yes, anybody can control quality of milk if you can keep milk cold. A lot of farms don't have electricity. A lot of milk is transported on a horse or a donkey. It is transported sometimes an hour to just get to the point, to get to a transfer station. It might spend a half hour on a donkey and then an hour in a truck to get to a transfer station. Transfer stations immediately refrigerate the milk.
Okay, good.
And that kind of stabilizes the whole bacteria issue. But if you started with extremely high bacteria, you can't fix it.
So
it's there.
Somehow a transfer technology, appropriate technology in that area, what would you see that being? How would what kind of a solution?
I think one thing I've looked at is nobody does it now. In Wisconsin, typically we always cooled milk with water because water's coming out of the ground at 48 degrees, and that was a simple, cheap method of cooling milk on a farm. Here, water comes out of the ground at 77 degrees. But milk is coming out of the cow at 100. So if we can, and I did this yesterday on a project, we just, for a trial, put a can of milk in the tank for the water for cows to drink. And in a half hour, 45 minutes, we had the temperature of the can down to about 80 degrees from 100 for its trip on the truck, which was basically a low-cost or zero-cost solution. This farmer was unique. He was probably the smartest guy I had met for really having no formal education. He had tracked weather where he lives. He showed me records of daily high, low, average. How much rain every day of the year. But he analyzes all sorts of things like that an average person wouldn't do. He had figured out a way to take spring water and pipe it down to where his milk sits and how the truck picks it up. So basically free. And then we were showing him yesterday, he has to build a concrete tank, which he wants to do now. Earlier I mentioned the reusing cloth strainers. Most or many farmers are using throwaway strainer pads like we do in the U.S. or have done in the U.S., which helps that problem. So that's a fairly simple one, a fairly low-cost one. The cleaning of utensils is a big one. What do you use? Well, soap's expensive. They do use soap, they do use chlorine. Most of the chlorine I've seen used, it wasn't at the concentrations you need to really kill bacteria. They wash cow udders with water. Now, they do wash, they're effective. But never put anything in it because chlorine in water burns your hands, burns your eyes, and it's not really recommended for the cow. Yesterday we started a project with iodine. And again, it's only going to be 1 Cordoba, 2 Cordoba a day to add a little bit of iodine to the wash water, which helps disinfect the cow's udder without affecting the person's hands. So a lot of little things like that. The biggest thing I've learned is transportation is so difficult. That's our major obstacle is time between the cow and the time the milk is cooled. And if we could do cooling right at the cow with water, I see no way to use refrigeration on the farm. Absolutely no way. One, the cost of the equipment. 2, the cost of electricity. Electricity is extremely expensive. And then 3, maintenance of the equipment. The equipment's got to be built like a battle tank or it's not going to survive. So I just do not see refrigeration on the farm any place. The average farm, I've been on farms now with 35 cows, 40 cows, 85 cows, and 18 cows. They were all, I would say, essentially identical. Cows and milk under a roof, which would be a good thing. Now, there are farms that have 6 cows or 8 cows, and they're milked out under a tree, and it's raining, and water's washing down the side of the cow, and it's washing into the milk bucket, and there's going to be sky-high bacteria, and that milk is going to be a grade 3 milk, and there's no way that milk will ever be grade 1. So that farmer's never going to make much money.